A very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome in the class. In today's class, we are going to talk about ecological succession. That is the topic of today's class. But before beginning with the topic of today, let us have a small introduction about Unacademy. Unacademy is one of the India's largest platform for the preparation of CSIR-UGC NET examination, and the channel on which you are listening this video is Let's Crack CSIR-UGC NET. A little introduction about myself. I'm Farida Bandookwala and I have a teaching experience of 10 years in the same field. I'm pursuing my PhD from School of Biotechnology, DAVV. If you are opting for Unacademy for the preparation of CSIR-UGC NET, what all things you are going to get is daily life classes. You are going to get the whole syllabus in a well-formed manner, in a well-structured manner. Then you will be getting live tests and quizzes so that you can evaluate yourself that how much you have learned so far, and you will have unlimited access towards the videos which are in the category of the course you have opted for. Just a second. Unacademy conducts free live classes, and it conducts free live classes on YouTube, and it conducts the free classes on the special platform. So presently you are listening to the YouTube free live class, and there are special classes. For these special classes you need to download the Unacademy learning app. Unacademy learning app. When you will download the app, you will need to make your account in this app, and you have to opt for an examination for which you are preparing. Like this, you will get the access towards all the special classes. So I have done the endocrinology part on the special platform. If you want to study some different topics other than what I am teaching on YouTube, just download the app and search by the name of educator, follow the educator, so that you can get the updates of all the upcoming videos and also the videos which the educator has done previously. Presently, there is a discount going on in the Unacademy Plus subscription. So I told you Unacademy does free live classes on YouTube and special. There is one more platform, that is Plus platform. And what is so special about this Plus platform is you will get the whole syllabus in a well-formed manner. It is very much structured on this Plus platform, and all the topics are covered in the systematical manner. And for all the upcoming examination, crash courses, short-term courses are going on for the examination. So Plus subscription can be very much beneficial for you to qualify the examination. The discount is large and soon the prices are going to hike for 12 months, which I would suggest everyone that go for a yearly so that actually you can make the most out of it. And if you are in the last semester also, then too you can go for a 12 monthly, because overall you are going to make your career in this field only. So you will always need some of the push up or a background of certain topics. So that also you can do through the Plus subscription. So at least go for 12-month subscription, and if not, then go for 24-month subscription if you are a first year student or second semester student. So the discount is large, and if you are using my referral code, that is FB01, if you are using my referral code FB01, you will be getting an additional 10% discount, and The course will be very, very, very pocket friendly. So the referral code which you are going to use for getting a 10% discount is FB01. So like this, we are done with the introduction part of an academy. Let us start with the topic, that is ecological succession. Ecological succession. So what is the meaning of ecological succession? The environment is continuously changing, continuously changing. Now it is different, after some time it is going to be different. So this difference of the environment, or the difference of the organisms living in that environment, comes under the category of ecological succession. Now if we are saying that ecological succession is going to occur, I think almost everyone knows about succession. Like if you have bought a new book and you have a very moist atmosphere at your home, so what will happen after some time, your book, when it will capture the moisture, it will promote the growth of certain kind of molds. If you have bought a fresh bread and it is completely clean and there's lots of moisture along with heat, it will develop certain kind of fungus on it. These all things, like first of all the fungus will come, and if suddenly some seed comes and drops over there, so the environment is quite organic. Bread is the supporting nature, the environment is moist. It's possible that the seed might germinate, like we see in the cracks between the walls, some new kind of plant, they flourish. So those all things come under the category of ecological succession. Now, why does ecological succession occurs? What is the reason of ecological succession? So the reason is variation in climatic and physiographic factors. So variation in climatic and physiographic factors. One of the reason. Another is activities of a species which are living in that environment. Activities of the species. Species living in that particular environment. Like if a barren land is there and there is no organic matter, but somehow animals or some other organisms, they bring some kind of organic material, and after that that particular place becomes suitable for the growth of plants. So that is like activities of species. So first of all, climate is going to change, and then the activity of species is going to lead into ecological succession. So these influences actually bring about lots of changes in the communities which are already existing. So this process, it is going to continue, and the communities are going to develop one after the other, and finally when there will be a stabilization, like now there are no changes in the further different kind of development of the species. Like there are lots of changes. First of all, primary dwellers were there, then secondary, tertiary, quaternary, and finally that one established over there. So that is that process from the starting material, one species to another species, is called as ecological succession. So occurrence of the sequence or different sequence of occurrence of various communities in a period of time over the same area is called as ecological succession. Right. So this is the thing. Now, when we are talking about ecological succession, we should know what is climax community. So climax community, the word itself is clear. Whenever we watch movie, we say this is the climax. What is the climax? The final thing that is going to happen. So whenever there is succession, and succession is going on, going on, going on, and finally there is an end to the succession, that now no other changes are going to occur, and this species is going to dwell over here for now for a very long period of time till no other changes are going to occur. So that is called as climax community. So each phase of succession is called serial stage. Serial stage. So climax is the final. So there must be some which is coming over there for the very first time. The primary dwellers, or the first one to localize that particular area. So the first one to localize that particular area are called as pioneer serial stage. Pioneer serial stage. Now, this we have seen. Now, let us talk about the types of succession. Types of succession. Succession can be of various types. We are going to see primary and secondary succession first of all. Primary and secondary succession. So primary succession is series of community changes which occur on an entirely new habitat. So I'll write primary succession. So there is a particular habitat. There's a particular habitat which has never been colonized before. There was nothing. It was completely barren land, or can say sand dunes or rocks. I'll write over here sand dunes or rock face, etc. Completely barren. Now, if in this particular area there is growth of certain thing, that is called as primary succession. Series of community changes which occur in an entirely new habitat which has never been colonized is called as primary succession. So this was barren land, and now when there comes the series of succession. Series of succession or series of changes is much better word. Series of changes. So series of changes on a barren land just like sand dunes or rock face is called as primary succession. Then let us talk about secondary succession. What is secondary succession? So it is the series of community changes which take place on the previously occupied area or previously colonized area. But somehow it got disturbed or damaged, habitat was damaged, and now it is not supporting any kind of life. So that is the clearance of a previously occupied area. If that is being occupied by a community or a series of community, it is called as secondary changes. So series of changes or series of changes in community. Series of changes in community which occurs in previously occupied or previously colonized area. Occurs in previously colonized habitat. It's called as secondary succession. So, but now the thing is that in secondary succession, the area is clean for now. There is nothing growing in this secondary succession. So it is like that this area is now available. There is a clearance. Maybe because there was a farm and there was a fire, maybe there is a forest and there was a fire, or there was a woodland and suddenly there was felling of trees. So now that particular area is available for further changes in the community, that comes under secondary succession. So secondary succession is different from primary succession in terms of that the area was previously occupied but now it is free. This is the thing. Now coming to the second thing that we need to see in types of succession is autogenic and allogenic succession. Autogenic and allogenic succession. Allogenic can also be called as heterogenic. Now, if you are talking about autogenic succession, so autogenic succession environment is in autogenic succession, the environment is modified by number of species of the community itself, such that the conditions become unfavorable for that community and now more favorable for the upcoming community. So in autogenic, environment is modified by the species of the community itself, such that conditions becomes unfavorable for that community but now becomes more favorable for the upcoming communities. So autogenic succession, the species which are dwelling in that environment, they are actually making the environment unsuitable for the growth of themselves but suitable for growth of some other species. So that is autogenic succession. I hope you are understanding. Then heterogenic succession. Heterogenic succession. What is heterogenic succession? In heterogenic succession, what is going to occur? If you are saying that heterogenic succession, so it is the replacement of community due to the some other factors, due to some external factors. In autogenic succession, the enemy of itself is self. It is making the environment less suitable. But in allogenic succession, because of some external factor, maybe environmental or maybe because of some other species, the environment is becoming less suitable for the growth of organisms. So autogenic succession and allogenic succession or heterogenic succession. Right? So I would write a sentence for autogenic succession and heterogenic succession. So autogenic succession, what are we going to say? That changes by existing community makes environment unsuitable for itself but more suitable for other species. Now, when we are talking about heterogenic succession or allogenic succession, so changes by external factors makes environment less suitable for existing community. Right. So we have understood autogenic succession and allogenic succession. The next thing that we should see is autotrophic and heterotrophic succession. Autotrophic and heterotrophic succession. So first of all, autotrophic succession. So those who are attending the class live, they can answer in the chat box what they understand by the term autotrophic succession. In autotrophic succession, what do we mean by that? So autotrophic succession is that succession in which most of the organic matter is fixed by the autotrophs. That is, most of the thing comes from the biomass living biomass is in the plants. Autotrophic succession, succession in which most of the organic matter is fixed by the autotrophs. They themselves are self-sufficient. They are making their own food. So succession in which most of the organic matter is fixed by the autotrophs, autotrophic succession. Then heterotrophic succession, which occurs on the degradable source, that the coming community is not making its food on its own, but it is dwelling on already decaying and dead material. So succession occurs on the degradable source. Most of the living biomass such as animal, fungal or microbial material. So there is a difference in autotrophic succession and heterotrophic succession. So autotrophic succession, what are we going to say? That succession in which most of organic matter is fixed by autotrophs. Now, heterotrophic succession which occurs on dead and decaying matter. This is autotrophic succession and heterotrophic succession. Now, what are we going to see? That depending on the type of place where the succession is occurring, we are going to categorize it on the basis of that. So depending on the substratum, the succession can be divided into three categories that we are going to see. So depending upon substratum, depending upon substratum, succession is divided into three types. Now, what are these three types? First is hydrocer or hydrarch. Second is zerocer or xerarch. And third is mesarch. Hydrarch, xerarch and mesarch. So hydrocer, the word itself is telling that it is somehow related to water body, right? So it is somehow related to water body. Hydrocer or hydrarch. So succession, it begins in the fresh water. It can begin in pond, it can begin in lake, it can begin in streams. So that type of thing is called as hydrocer or hydrarch succession. Then zerocer itself is telling you that it is somehow related to land. So in zerocer, succession is going to begin in the dark condition. The condition can be dark. That is, it can be on the land or it can be on the sand or it can be in the lots of salty areas. Those all things will come under xerarch. And mesarch, the succession is going to begin in the mesic condition or the moderate condition. So hydrarch, succession begins in fresh water. Succession begins in dry conditions. And mesarch, the succession begins in moderate conditions. So when we are saying fresh water, we will go with pond, lakes, etc. When we are going for zerocer or xerarch, we need to see three things. That is lithocer, then samocer and then halocere. So lithocere, when succession it begins on rock. Samocere, when succession begins on sand. And halocere, when succession begins in the saline conditions. Right? So these are the three types of successions which we have to study depending on the substratum. Now we have covered the four categorizations, that is primary and secondary succession. Then we have seen autogenic and allogenic succession. Then we have seen autotrophic and heterotrophic succession. And then we have seen depending on the substratum. So we have seen the types of succession on four bases. There are four categories. Now we are going to talk about mechanism of succession. Mechanism of succession. So there are actually three models of succession when we are talking about mechanism, that is facilitation, then it is tolerance, and then it is inhibition. These are the three major models of succession, and on the basis of these models we'll be able to understand lot many things based on the succession. Lot many things we'll be able to get. So I would write that mechanism of succession can be divided into three categories, that is facilitation, then it is tolerance, then it is inhibition. Facilitation, tolerance, and inhibition. Now what is facilitation? The first word, what is facilitation? So what is going to happen is the organisms at a given successional stage makes the ecosystem more suitable for the coming communities. Example, when lichens they grow on a rock, they are going to convert this rock into soil, and nitrogen fixing plants, they improve the fertility of soils so that they behave like the nurse plants for the other plants. So that is the facilitation. That itself, it is not going to create much of the difference, but it is going to facilitate the growth of another species. That is the facilitation. The word itself is telling facilitate. So facilitation, right? Then it is tolerance. The another thing is tolerance, and then it is inhibition. So what is tolerance and what is inhibition? Let us talk about tolerance. Before beginning with tolerance, just a second. Give me a second. So facilitation we have seen. Now tolerance. What is going to happen in tolerance? That the organism So tolerance, what we are going to see in tolerance is that the organism of a given successional stage have less influence on the later successional stage. Like they are going to tolerate. They are not going to facilitate or promote. They are just going to tolerate. They are not bothering them at all, nor they are having any kind of negative effect, nor they are having any kind of positive effect. Just they are tolerating. So the organism of a given successional stage have less influence on the later successional stage, right? This is the thing. Now in inhibition, the organism at a given stage is going to resist the invasion of the other organism. So it is very clear from the term itself that now when the individuals are not going to promote the growth of the coming, but they are going to resist, and when they are going to die, then only the next successional stage is going to come. So sometimes importance is given to the facilitation and inhibition, because they are the determining factor that which community is going to come, because they both are going to have some kind of interference in the growth of the coming community, right? So these are the mechanisms of succession, and it is usually represented by this type of thing, so that it will be there in your mind whenever you will be attempting the question in the CSIR. So this kind of picture is drawn for facilitation, that it is promoting the growth of the other. Intolerance, it is like this, that it is not promoting the growth of the other, but A is going to have its effect on D, and is going to have its effect over. So this is the way how the diagram of tolerance is drawn, that they are not affecting each other, but they are indirectly affecting the upcoming. And for inhibition, it is drawn like this. That it is not facilitating or not at all promoting the growth of the coming community. This is how this thing should be there. Now talking about the general process of succession. What is the process of succession? So general process of succession. General process of succession, this we are going to see. So succession, it gets completed in various stages, or various steps are there. Total there are 5 steps which we need to see. So this process should also be written as steps. So there are actually 5 steps of this process. So I'll just take the name of these 5, and then we are going to talk about them in detail. First is nudation, second is invasion, third is competition and cohesion, fourth is reaction, and fifth is stabilization. On the basis of these 5 steps, the succession occurs. So first is nudation. Nudation. Now, what is nudation? What do we understand by nudation? It is the development of a vacant area or identification of a vacant area without any life form previously. So this area may develop because of various reasons, such as erosion, wood felling, or deposition of certain thing, landslide, or any kind of the calamity. Nudation might occur. So nudation is development of vacant area. It is development of vacant area. So there can be various causes of nudation. We'll be talking about them. There can be various things. So the causes of nudation can be many, and we are going to talk about them. So the first cause of the nudation can be topographic. Topographic. So what happens in topographic? Because of the soil erosion, because of gravity or water or wind, the present community, it may disappear. So other causes can be like deposition of sand or landslide or volcanic activity. So all the topographic activities are going to come in under this topographic nudation. So we can say kind of soil erosion, soil erosion, because of water and wind, because of water or wind, or it can be because of the deposition of sand, deposition of sand, and there can be many other reasons as well, etc. After topographic, what are the other things? It can be because of climatic as well. Climatic. So the climatic changes may be because of glaciers, dry period, or it can be because of hails and storms, etc., which is responsible for destroying the community. So climatic changes can be responsible for destruction. So that can be glaciers, or there can be drought, there can be hails, storms, there can be fire. These all things will come under climatic. So fire will also be included in climatic, right? After climatic, the next that we need to see is biotic. That is because of some living creature. Topographic and climatic, they both were abiotic. When we are talking about biotic, so the major cause of any disruption in the environment is man. So man is the most important factor for biotic. Mutation, responsible for destruction of forest, grasslands for industry, agriculture or housing. And there can be many other factors such like diseases, fungus, other than man, which is responsible for biotic mutation. So in biotic mutation, because of man, and we know that man for land in the forest area or in the grassland, etc. And other thing may be epidemic, which can be because of fungus or virus or etc. So which is going to kill a large population. So biotic. So this we have seen about nudation, right? We have seen nudation. See, nudation, that was the first, and we need to see 5 things. So the second that we are going to see is invasion. Invasion. So what happens in invasion? So this is a stage of successful establishment. Someone has come and established over there. Establishment of a species in a barren area. We would write over here establishment of a species in a bare area. In a bare area. This is invasion. So the species, they in fact they reach this site because of various factors, and this whole process, they can be completed into 3 stages. Whenever there is establishment or invasion, it itself can be completed into 3 stages. So establishment of a species in the new area can be done under the following 3 things. There we have seen in the first nudation, we have seen the 3 factors. Here we are going to see the 3 stages of invasion. So first is migration. Migration or dispersal. Migration or dispersal. So the seeds, spores or other things of the species, they reach the barren area or nude area, and because of the favorable environment they grow. So first of all is migration. Migration means they just reach that area, this bare area. Now it is up to the environment and the sturdiness of that particular germ cell to grow over there. After that, after migration, it is excesses. What is excesses? That is establishment. Establishment. So establishment, so after reaching a new area, the process of successful establishment of the species is most important thing, because it has to adjust with the prevailing environment, and it need to grow, it need to germinate if it's a seed, and after germination it should start reproducing, then only it will be a successful establishment. So only few of them will be actually capable of doing this, or going through this particular kind of change. Only a few of them will be capable of sustaining the harsh environment, because previously it is not at all localized by anything. So very less number of species are going to tolerate this condition. So as a result of excesses, the individual of the species, they are going to establish. It will take time for them to establish. So excesses, it is establishment, but in establishment it has to tolerate lots of things. After excesses, the thing is aggression. Aggression. So after excesses, the next step which comes in invasion is aggression. What is aggression? That the result of reproduction which it has done in the establishment, the individuals of the species, they increase from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, they are increasing. So this process of increase in the number of species in that particular area is called as aggression. So migration, excesses and aggression. These are the three steps of invasion. So in aggression, we have already understood it by the dispersal and establishment. The thing, aggression means increase in number of species. Increase in number of species. After this, we are going to see competition and cohesion. That is the third process of succession. That is competition and cohesion. Competition and cohesion. So after aggression of a large number of species, or large number of individual of a species has actually occupied that area. So that particular area would be a limited area. It cannot be infinite, like, right? So it is obviously a limited space. So there develops a competition between the species or in the individuals of the same species. So that comes under competition and cohesion. There is a competition in the species, interspecies or intra-species. Two types of competitions can be seen. So these two types of competition, why are these competitions actually occurring? The competition would be for space and for nutrition. Two types of competitions would be there because of the space or because of the nutrition. So individual of a species, they are going to influence each other's life, and maybe it is in the positive manner or maybe it is in the negative manner. So that comes under cohesion. Like if there is a straight tree, there is a tree and there is a climber. So climber is going to wrap around the tree and make its life possible. So that is the positive interaction. So that is the cohesion. So cohesion is any kind of interaction between the species or the influence of the species between each other. So we would write over here that species or individuals in a species influence each other, influence each other, and this is called as cohesion, and this is called as cohesion. So the species, if unable to compete with the other species, they might be discarded or they might lose and they might be eliminated from that particular place. To survive and to establish themselves, there should be competition, there should be excellence in the competition, there should be reproductive capacity and wide ecological amplitude. All of these things are going to help a particular species to establish over there. So after competition and after cohesion, there comes a stage of reaction. Reaction. there comes a stage of reaction. So this is the most crucial stage in succession. Most crucial. The mechanism of alteration of the environment through the influence of living organism on its own is known as reaction. So crucial stage in succession. Mechanism of alteration of the environment through the influence of living organism. Like if a rock is being broken down because of the growth of lichen, that is because of the living organism, the climate is changing. Like when the atmosphere developed because of the microorganisms who were actually using carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. So that is, they are changing the environment. So that is the reaction. There was an environment and now the organisms, they are altering the environment. So as a result of reaction, changes would take place in soil, in water, in light condition as well, in temperature, etc. Like if there is a dense canopy of the big trees, there would be lesser light that would be reaching the soil or land. So that is how the temperature would also change in under the canopy. Light conditions are also going to change under the canopy, and this is the reaction of succession, right? So due to all these, the environment is modified and it becomes more suitable or unsuitable for the existing community, maybe more suitable or maybe less suitable. And this whole sequence that is going to replace one species by the another. Like if there is completely breakdown of the rock into soil, now there will be less possibility of lichen to grow, and when lichen is going to die, there would be succession. So maybe the environment what they are changing would be maybe good for them or may not be that good for them. So the pioneers, the one which are actually coming for the first time, are likely to have low requirement of the nutrient. Like initially whatever is going to establish themselves is not going to establish themselves for looking for lots of nutritional opportunities, but it is going to grow in a very lesser needs. So more dynamic, and they are more able to take the mineral as compared to the complex forms. So complex forms, they would come later on. That's why the complex ones, they come later on. So reaction is the most crucial stage of succession, and in this there is alteration. There is alteration of environment through influence of living organisms. Living organisms. So, what all things are going to change? Soil is going to change, water is going to change, light condition is going to change, and temperature is going to change in reaction. After reaction, we are going to see stabilization. Stabilization or climax. Stabilization or climax. So finally there comes a stage in which now there is no further change in the environment. The environment has become constant, and now in this constant environment, the climax community is going to dwell, or the final community which is not replaced by anything is called as the climax stage or the climax community. So when the final terminal community becomes more or less stable for a long period of time, it can maintain itself in the equilibrium, and that is the stabilization. That now there would be no other species can come and dwell itself. right? So this is the thing. Now after seeing the process and categories of succession and everything, now we are going to talk about the examples of succession, that what are the examples of succession. So examples of succession, we are going to talk in terms of land succession and water succession, the hierarch and xerarch, which we actually read in the starting. In that terms we are going to see, but before that I have to take take 2-3 pages. So just a second, let me put that and then we'll be continuing, right? So yes, so examples of succession. Now first we are going to see about the water succession, which is called as hierarch or hydrosphere, right? So succession in water body. Succession in water body is hydrosphere. So various biotic community, they develop in a newly formed pond or lake, and it is called as hydrosphere. So it starts as soon as the muddy water becomes little clear. So the succession proceeds from hydric to mesic condition. Initially it would be completely water based, but slowly it will move towards the mesic condition, right? So we are going to see the different stages of hydrosphere. First of all, I would tell there are 7 stages in this. So the first stage is plankton stage. First stage is plankton stage. Plankton stage. So phytoplanktons such as diatoms, flagellates, blue-green algae, they are the pioneers in the freshly formed water body. They are almost immediately followed by the zooplanktons, and the zooplanktons, they are going to feed on the phytoplanktons. So plankton stage. So phytoplanktons, they are the pioneering one, and zooplanktons, they are going to feed on the phytoplankton. So plankton stage, there will be 2 types, that is phytoplanktons and zooplanktons. Phytoplanktons and zooplanktons. So when we are talking about phytoplanktons, what types of them? Diatoms, flagellates, blue-green algae, etc. And zooplanktons, they are going to feed upon the phytoplanktons. So this is the plankton stage. Second is submerged stage. Submerged stage. So what happens in submerged stage is the bottom is lined by the soft mud. The bottom of the water body is actually lined by the soft mud or the organic matter, and this soft mud and organic matter is obviously more favorable for the growth of the plants. So submerged plants, they start dwelling over there, such as hydrilla and najas. These are some of the submerged plants which grow better in this environment. So they would be rooted in their nature, and there would be dense growth. They would be rooted, then they would have dense growth, and as a result of sand and slit, they get deposited around the plant. So they get rooted and dense growth is going to occur, and because of a sand and slit, they get deposited, right? So the bottom level therefore rises slowly because of their deposition. The bottom level rises. the bottom level rises. And the older plants and the buried parts of the other plants forms, they actually decay and they form humus. So hydrilla and najas then rooted and then dense growth and bottom level rises and there would be formation of humus. After this, it is floating stage. Floating stage. So in the shallower regions, plants with the tuberous rhizomatous and creeping stems and leaves, they float on the surface of water. So floating stage. So the shallower region, they will have more, in the shallower region, there will be more of the floating stage or floating plants. So the names of these floating plants is Nymphia and Nilumbo. Nymphia and Nilumbo. So this is the floating stage. So at places, free floating plants, they also appear, and these free floating plants which appear, they are actually Azolla, which is actually responsible for nitrogen fixation, then Wolffia, etc. So humus rich bottom begins to rise and it makes the water shallower. So that is the floating stage. In floating stage, the shallower regions appear plants. In shallower regions, the plants would appear with tuberous and rhizomatous and creeping stems such as Nymphia and Nilumbo, and at certain free-flowing places, Azolla and Wolffia is also seen. After this, in the fourth stage, we are going to see the reed swamp stage. The reed swamp stage. So amphibious plants, they grow where the water body becomes shallow. The shallow places, amphibious plants, they grow. The plants of the swamp stage are actually, they transpire huge amount of water and they also produce lots of organic matter, right? So this is the reed swamp stage. So I would write over here amphibious plants grow. So they grow where the water is shallow, at water shallow, right? So this is the reed swamp stage. After this, there is marsh meadow stage. Marsh meadow stage. Marsh meadow stage. So on newly built up shores, grasses and herbs, they grow rapidly and they lower the water table, lower the water level further lower. So the plants, again, they transpire rapidly and add abundant humus, thus the soil is quite ready for the next succession. So the newly built up shores in the marshmallow stage, right? So on the newly built up shores, grasses and herbs, they grow, and the names are names of the plants which actually grow in this area is sedge, cypress, etc. That is the marsh meadow stage. After marsh meadow stage, when there is lots of humus and everything, there comes a stage which is called as woodland stage. Woodland stage. So rhizome bearing the shrubs and small trees which are capable of tolerating excessive light and water lost conditions, they appear on the edges of the marsh and the meadows. And the plants which actually grow over here are cornus and alnus, etc. So rhizome bearing shrubs and small trees which are capable of tolerating excessive of light and water, they grow in the woodland stage. After woodland stage comes is climax forest stage. Climax forest stage. So in climax forest stage, new trees such as almus, then acer, etc. they grow, and shrubs and herbs appear which are perfectly in the harmony with the climate of that particular area. So that is the climax forest stage. After this, we are going to talk about the lithosphere. We are going to talk about this in a very quick way. Lithosphere. So lithosphere is made up of certain stages, and the xeric condition or low water availability condition to intermediate mesic condition, it changes like that, lithosphere to the mesic condition. This is the thing which occur in lithosphere or xerarch. Right, so first stage over here is lichen stage. So what happens in lichen stage is the bare rock which is invaded primarily by the lichen. They corrode the rock at particular places and they break down the rock, and then there will be growth of lichen, mosses, blue-green algae. So this is called as lichen stage. It begins on rock. Second is moss stage. Moss stage. So moss such as polytrichum, tortula and etc. they are of actually larger size. So they have gregarious habitat, and their rhizomes they penetrate deep into the rocks. So they shade the lichens and they replace the lichens, and mosses they accumulate and aggressively establish themselves in that area. After that, annual grass stage. Annual grass stage. So annual hardy grasses and herbs, they invade that particular area where moss was growing, and now they try to establish themselves, and soil is also more favorable for the growth of the long duration or long cycles grasses, and the process of accumulation of soil occurs, and there will be penetration of roots of the grass. So that is the annual grass stage. Then there comes the perennial grass stage. Perennial grass stage. So annual grasses are replaced by perennial grasses, and because of the increased moisture and soil in the rock, this occurs because already there was the uh, decayed amount of lichen moss and annual grass. So now the perennial grass, there is lots of moisture and they can grow properly in that particular area. So perennial grasses they come, and after that comes this shrub stage. So shrubs they begin to grow in this particular place after the perennial grasses, and after shrubs finally comes the climax forest community or stage. So initially the hard light demanding small trees they invade and they make the habitat more shadier, and as the shade increases, the transpiration water is trapped and the area becomes more and more moist, and ultimately the trees and shrubs and herbs they grow in that area, and they represent the climax forest community or climax forest stage. So like this, we have completed the succession in a well detailed manner. I hope you people have understood well. And lastly, do not forget to subscribe the channel Let's Crack CSIR-UGC NET. And on this channel, you will get all the videos related to the CSIR-UGC NET Life Science. And if you haven't hit the bell icon yet, hit the bell icon so that you can be getting the notification of all the upcoming videos coming on this channel. And also, if you haven't subscribed it, just go and subscribe the channel. Ask your friends to subscribe so that they can be benefited. If you are going for plus subscription, do not forget to use my referral code, that is FB01, and by using my referral code FB01 you will be getting a 10% discount. And if you have understood certain things which I was trying to convey to you, and you really like the presentation or video, you can give it a thumbs up. That will really motivate the educators like us. And lastly, a great thank you for your patient listening and attending the class live as well as offline. Thank you very much. If you have any kind of query or doubt regarding the topic, just write in the comment, and whenever I'll be going through the comment box, I'll reply to you definitely. And another thing is that if you want to study a particular topic, or you are having any difficulty in that, you want me to make a video on that, just write in the comment box. I will definitely take up your queries. So thank you very much. Once again, we'll be continuing with the topic of ecology in the coming classes. And this is it for now.